Behind the Bars: How Inmates Manipulate the Outside World. It was just after midnight inside a maximum security prison in Georgia when officers noticed something strange on the security cameras. A drone, fast and silent, hovered above the prison yard. It dipped, steadied itself, and then dropped a small black package onto the grass before flying away into the darkness. By the time a guard reached the yard, the package was gone. Someone had picked it up within seconds, someone who was not supposed to be anywhere near it. What the guards didn't know that night was this: the drone drop wasn't random. It was part of a coordinated criminal plan run by inmates inside the prison. And it wasn't the first time. For months, prisoners had ordered drug deliveries, controlled bank fraud operations, and directed violence on the streets, all while sitting behind bars. This wasn't fiction. This was real. Similar cases had been uncovered across the United States, from Georgia to Mississippi to California. Inmates using smuggled phones, inmates sending coded letters, inmates running entire gangs and businesses from inside their cells. But on this night, something inside the prison was about to happen that would finally expose just how powerful these men had become. Inside one of the dark cell blocks, an inmate everyone called Reese sat on his bunk with a tiny cell phone hidden inside a roll of toilet paper. He wasn't supposed to have it. No inmate was. But smuggled phones had become a major problem in U.S. prisons, costing lives, leading to kidnappings, shootings, and interstate drug crimes. Reese was one of the masterminds behind an operation that stretched all the way from his prison block to neighborhoods he hadn't seen in years. His fingers tapped quickly. He wasn't texting friends. He was sending orders. Make the pickup, check the package, move fast. Outside the prison walls, at a quiet gas station parking lot, a loyal foot soldier waited for Reese's message. His car was running. He stared at his phone as the directions came in, step by step. It didn't matter that the man giving orders was locked up. His voice still controlled everything. Reese, like many real inmates across the U.S., used coded language to avoid detection. Guards had found letters with hidden instructions. Some inmates wrote entire drug routes disguised as grocery lists. Others hid messages in birthday cards. Reese preferred phones because they were fast and because every minute counted. Inside the prison, the lights flickered. A power issue again, the same kind that officers in multiple states had complained about for years. When the lights were down, even for a moment, inmates moved contraband between cells, hid evidence, or switched out SIM cards. A 2-minute blackout could erase weeks of investigation.
Reese waited for the signal. Delivered, the outside associate wrote. But something was off. The message took too long to arrive. The bars outside Reese's cell glowed faintly under emergency lights. Then, without warning, officers burst into the cell block. Boots hit the floor, radios buzzed, and a voice shouted, "Shut it down! Everyone to the wall!" Reese froze. He knew this wasn't a routine search. Something had gone wrong on the outside. Something big enough to make the prison react fast. 2 guards dragged the man out of a nearby cell. The inmate kicked and yelled, but the officers didn't stop. They had found something in his mattress, part of the drone package. Things were collapsing faster than Reese expected. But he wasn't just worried about the prison officers. He was worried about the outside world. Because the moment authorities got hold of any part of his operation, a chain reaction would begin. People might panic. Evidence might surface. His associates might talk. And far from the prison, on a quiet road outside Atlanta, police had stopped a silver sedan with no headlights on. Inside the car, they found a bag, the matching half of the drone package. Drugs, cell phones, a list of names, bank account numbers. Real cases like this had been uncovered before across many states, but tonight, this one was tied to the man inside the prison. Back inside, the officers moved through the block quickly, pulling inmates from their cells. The air was thick with shouting and slamming metal doors. The prison was on lockdown now. Reese's hand tightened around the tiny phone hidden in his pocket. He knew he had to get rid of it, or hide it, fast. Then the loudspeaker cracked on. "Everyone stay in your cells. Do not move. All movement is suspended." Reese's heart hammered. He knew what was coming next. A full search, a full investigation, a full sweep that could destroy everything he had built from behind those bars. He looked at the phone in his hand. If he didn't act now, all of it, every coded letter, every street order, every delivery, could lead straight back to him. He heard the boots approaching his cell, getting closer, louder, closer. Reese took a deep breath, knowing he only had seconds to choose. And then, the door clanked. The lock turned. The lights came fully back on. And the officers stepped inside.
The door swung open, and 2 officers stepped into Reese's cell. Their flashlights sliced across the concrete walls, scanning every corner. Reese sat still, his hands on his knees, his face calm, even though his heart was pounding. The tiny cell phone was hidden under his leg. One wrong move, and everything he controlled, inside and outside the prison, would fall apart. "Stand up," one officer ordered. Reese rose slowly, playing it cool. He had been through searches before, but this one was different. He could feel it. The officers weren't just checking for contraband. They were looking for something specific, something serious. As one guard patted him down, the other tore through his mattress, his sheets, even the small stack of books he kept. Pages flipped, covers bent, dust floating in the beam of the flashlight. They found nothing. But Reese wasn't safe. Not yet. "Search the vent," the officer said. Reese felt a stomach twist. The vent was where he kept old SIM cards, the ones he used months earlier to communicate with outside contacts. If officers found them, they could connect those cards to crimes on the streets, real crimes, the kind of cases the FBI had stepped into before in other states, like the large-scale operations in Mississippi and Georgia, where inmates had directed shootings and drug deals from behind bars. The officer unscrewed the vent cover and reached inside. Reese held his breath. Silence. Then finally, the officer pulled his hand out. Empty. They had missed the hidden corner where Reese wedged the SIM cards. Luck was on his side this time, but luck never lasted long in prison. The officers left the cell, locking the door behind them. Reese sat down on his bunk and pressed his hands together. He wasn't safe. Someone had messed up. Someone had gotten caught. And that meant the chain was breaking. He needed answers. He waited until the officers moved farther down the block. Then, when no one was watching, he slid the tiny phone out from under his blanket and powered it on. The screen lit up. One message waited for him. "We got a problem." His chest tightened. He typed back quickly. What happened? Outside the prison, on the road where police had stopped the silver sedan, detectives were already working. They had spread everything from the car across the hood, the drugs, the handwritten notes, the contact numbers. One number repeated again and again, a Georgian number, a number tied to a prison. The detective circled it with the pen. "This is organized," he said. "This isn't a one-time drop. Someone inside is running this." Reese didn't know they were making progress that fast, but he could sense danger, real danger. His next message confirmed it. "They know the drop was for you." The phone screen dimmed. Outside his cell, footsteps approached again. Then a voice spoke from the hallway. "Reese, pack up. You're being moved." He froze. Moved? Why? Where? The officer unlocked the door, staring directly at him. "It's time. You're going somewhere else." Reese swallowed hard, knowing this wasn't a routine transfer. Something huge was happening, and he was right in the middle of it. Reese stepped into the hallway with his hands cuffed. Officers stood on both sides of him, watching every move he made. The prison was quiet, too quiet.
No yelling from other cells, no shouts from guards. Just silence. A heavy, tense silence that made Reese's skin crawl. "Where are you taking me?" he asked. No one answered. They walked him through 3 security doors, past the main control room, and into a hallway that led to the warden's office. That's when Reese knew for sure. This wasn't a normal transfer. This was something bigger. Much bigger. Inside the office, the warden stood with 2 investigators wearing jackets marked FBI. Reese's stomach tightened. Federal. That meant they weren't here for a simple contraband case. They were here because the crimes tied to him had crossed state lines. Just like the real investigations in Georgia, Mississippi, and California, where inmates were charged with running drug rings and organized fraud schemes from behind bars. The warden nodded for the officers to remove Reese's cuffs. They didn't. They just pushed him into a chair. One of the FBI agents opened a folder and slid a stack of photographs across the desk. Reese didn't want to look at them, but the agent tapped the top photo. "Recognize this?" Reese slowly looked down. It was a picture of the drone package seized from the silver sedan. The same package meant for him, the same one that had started everything. Another photo showed Carter in an interview room, his hands shaking. Reese felt his jaw tighten. Carter had talked. He knew it. He didn't need anyone to say it out loud. The agent cleared his throat. "We have enough to charge you with directing criminal operations from inside this facility. Drug trafficking, fraud, phone smuggling, all of it." Reese kept his face blank. Years in prison had taught him that silence was a weapon. But the agent wasn't finished. "We also know you weren't working alone. We want the names of your partners, both inside and outside the prison." Reese didn't answer. The second agent leaned forward.
The van pulled out of the prison yard, the metal rattling with every bump in the road. Reese pressed his forehead to the small square window, staring out into the night. The world outside looked so close, yet it was farther away than ever. He tried to piece things together. Carter talked, the FBI got involved, the drone package tied everything to him. His outside associates were probably already being hunted. Everything he had built, every coded letter, every smuggled phone, every outside move, had collapsed. The van stopped after an hour of silent driving. Officers opened the back doors and pulled him out. Reese blinked. This wasn't another prison yard. This was a federal detention center. A new place, new rules, new enemies, no power. They walked him inside, processed him, and handed him off to federal guards. As he stepped into the new cell, Reese felt the weight of reality. Behind the bars, he had once been a boss. Now, he was just another inmate. Hours passed. The lights dimmed. Reese sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the blank wall. His old life, the one he controlled with a phone, a few secret messages, and a loyal crew, was gone. But then, something strange happened. A guard walked past his cell. He paused, looked both ways, slipped something through the bars. A folded piece of paper. Reese picked it up slowly. Inside the paper was a single line. "We're not done. It continues." Reese stared at the message. Someone on the outside was still working. Someone was still loyal. Someone still wanted him in charge. His story wasn't finished. Not here, not now, not even behind federal bars. Reese leaned back on the bed, the paper in his hand, as the meaning sank in. Even locked away, even stripped of power, even surrounded by federal walls, the game wasn't over. And sometimes, the most dangerous operations weren't the ones you controlled, but the ones that kept going without you.